Mindful Life Practice community.
Oh, and express for our session tonight together. And we'll start at the bottom of our legs and we'll work our way all the way up to the shoulders and neck. And we'll do a few stretches in between. So starting with your foam roller underneath the lower legs and placing your hands about where the hips are, maybe a little behind, straightening the legs, lifting the hips, and gently rolling forward and back. You can leave the hips down and just bend the knees to roll forward and back, massaging the lower legs, the calves. Just kind of adjust because I only see me. Okay, I was missing the party. I'm finally getting used to 2 screens. And keeping your breath steady, so finding a deep inhale, an option to sigh out through the mouth. Helping to release any tension from tired muscles. Just lower the hips and bring the foam roller underneath the thighs, skipping the knees, and gently rolling forward and back up the length of the backs of the thighs. And you have the option to just roll as slowly or as quickly as you like, or you can just apply a little pressure incrementally, scooching forward, being productive even as a couch potato. I do this when I watch TV. So even couch potatoes need a little tenderizing. Okay, good. Now we're going to go move the foam roller back down towards the lower leg, placing the left leg on the foam roller, bringing the right to the right side of the mat, and bend like you're at about, I don't know, that must be like 45 degrees. Pressing into the foot, lifting the hips, and gently rolling, flexing the left toes gently to help straighten the leg. I find that helps me. And taking any adjustments as you need. If you need to lower the hips to get in the right position, do it. Now looking at your toes, as you get into the calf muscle, get close to the knee, drop the toes to the right, and you'll get the calf from a different angle. Or on the inside of that lower leg, lifting the toes up, dropping the toes to the left, you'll get onto the outside of that lower leg, which can feel really nice. Sometimes some tension can gather there. I know it does for me. An option to just pause, hang out on a spot. Maybe you roll it more horizontally or left and right instead of back and forth. Just doing what feels good. Just giving you suggestions and what works for me, but make it your own. Okay, now we're going to move up into the hamstring, the thigh. So just rolling the foam roller, placing it where you want it at the bottom of the thigh, pressing into that right foot, lifting, and gently rolling forward. Keeping the left toes gently flexed towards you if you like, if that works for you. An option to drop the toes to the right, coming onto the inner thigh a little bit. Remembering to breathe. Lifting those toes up and see how it feels to drop the toes to the left, coming onto the outside of that thigh. And we'll start working into the IT band, the adductors, and those muscles that support us in so many of our day-to-day activities. And my love-hate pose. So pausing for a moment, lowering the hips, you're going to bring your hands to the left side of the mat. Bring that right foot over, shifting over, rolling onto the side of your thigh. Gently rolling up and down if that feels good. We're staying on the on the hamstring. It might feel nice to get just above the knee and pause and observe what sensations arise there. My muscle's like, oh, La, that's really tight. Why are you doing this to me? But it hurts good. Gently working through that. Find a tight spot, pause on it, breathe into that sensation, and then sigh it out through the mouth, releasing that tension. Rolling up and down the length of the leg. Now we'll start to walk our hands towards the back of the mat and gently rolling onto the top of that left thigh, bringing that right thigh over, landing that knee of the right leg. Maybe you come onto the forearms and gently rolling the top of the thigh, quadriceps. And walking your forearms forward and back. All right, good work. When you've had enough, pause and just roll off gracefully as you can, your foam roller. And we'll do the hips now, the left hip. So bring that foam roller to the top of your thigh, the base, the bottom of your hip, keeping that right knee bent if you like, and gently rolling forward so you're kind of coming into bringing both feet forward, knees bent, and gently rolling on the left side of the hips, the fleshy part. And you can drop the knees to the left, just finding the perfect position for you. The sensation is, if you hit a spot that's tight, like when you're getting a massage, but for like a little pressure, you can feel the tension beginning to release. And just lifting the knees, moving up the hip, or just following wherever calls out for you. Sometimes you can really feel where the tension is and follow it. And other times you're just applying a little pressure to some common spots that you know are tight and will help release. So you can pause, find an inhale, and then release the exhale, maybe side out. Good. We're gonna lower the hips and bring the foam roller out to the side for a moment. Cross the left ankle over the right knee and gently flex the left toes. Bring the chest closer to that left shin and find a gentle stretch in that outer right hip. Figure 4. If you really wanted to, you could come into a pigeon. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of the head, pushing the chest a little closer to the shin, getting a little more length, a little more stretch in that left hip. Find a big inhale. We're going to sigh this one out. So inhale through the nose, sigh it up through the mouth. Oh, the hips feel so much better. Lifting the left ankle, uncrossing the leg, planting the left foot. We'll bring the foam roller underneath the right lower leg. Bring that left foot next to. Planting the hands behind you, gently flexing the right toes. Lift the hips and gently roll forward and back. You got this. Observing the movement of breath. And gently dropping the toes to the left, coming onto the inside of that lower leg. See how that feels. You can have the hips down here if that's easier for you, and bending from the knee, gently pressing the calf, the lower leg, into the foam roller. I like a little more pressure, so I lift the hips and roll that way. Looking at your toes, lift them and option to drop them to the right, coming onto the outside of that lower leg. Good, lifting the toes back up so they're straight, lowering the hips, and gently moving the foam roller to the base of your thigh, skipping the back of the knee. And pressing into the hands, lifting the hips, gently roll the back of the thigh. Inhale, ease. Exhale, everything else that doesn't serve you. Looking at your toes, dropping them to the left, getting onto the inner thigh. Lifting the toes, making any adjustments as you need. Dropping the toes to the right, coming onto the outside of that right thigh. Just observing the sensations from the back of the thigh to the side. Okay, pausing a moment to readjust, lowering the hips. I'm just gonna get ready to come on to the other side. So facing you. Bringing the hands to the side of the mat. Bringing that left foot over, leaning over, coming onto that side. You can maybe come to the bottom of the thigh above the knee, pause there. You know, that's a common spot for me to store tension. Option to stay there or roll out the length of the thigh. Finding an inhale in one direction and exhale in the other. Sighing out through the mouth whenever you need to. Now we'll come onto the forearms and bring that left leg down, coming onto the top of the right thigh. And gently rolling the front of the thigh up and down. Feeling the quadricep muscle, observing all the points of tension without judgment. They're there. We use them. This is totally normal. All right, good. Pausing here and gently rolling off your foam roller. The last spot will get the hip. So bringing that foam roller underneath your right hip. And gently rolling that right hip onto the foam roller. And I like to bend both knees and have the feet next to each other. And then leaning over onto that right hip. Maybe drop the knees over to the right. Walking the hands to support you. Option to just find a spot and lean on a foam roller. Option to roll up and down. Back of the hip. Those glute muscles. Gluteus medius. The minor gluteus. I saw that on a map, the anatomy of the hip the other day that I didn't know about. All right, and as you get up almost into the low back, lowering the hips, bring that foam roller to the side for a moment. Cross that right ankle over the left leg. Bringing that left foot in line with the left hip, gently flexing the right toes towards the right knee. Inhale, lengthening through the crown of the head. Gently walk the hands and the chest towards your legs. Until you feel a gentle stretch, a manageable stretch in that right hip, outer right thigh. So our figure 4. You could also come into pigeon, roll on your back and pull the shin in towards you. You won't be here that long. Good. And uncrossing that right ankle, extending the leg long. We'll bring the foam roller to the low back. And gently come onto the elbows behind you. And pressing into the feet, lifting the hips, rolling the top of the hips up. And gently making your way up towards the shoulders. Maybe you come over onto the left side of the lower back, like the back of the waist. Same, the right side, the right back of the waist. And then rolling out towards the shoulder blades. Gently lowering hips for a moment, pausing. Interlace the fingers behind your head. Make a hammock for the head. Gaze up towards the ceiling. Press into your feet, lift the hips. And gently continue rolling up the shoulders. And it can feel nice to bring the elbows closer together over your face, opening up the back, exposing the muscles under the shoulder blades. That feels really good for me. You're welcome to try it or not. And gently making your way up to the tops of the shoulders. And finally lowering the hips and gently dropping the head. Placing the foam roller underneath the top of the neck, the head. And if you have a foam roller that has little ridges, try to get it there. Gazing up at the ceiling, dropping the head to the right, massaging the occipital ridge, the back of the skull, that area where the neck muscles meet the skull. Inhale, gazing up to the ceiling. Exhale, dropping one ear down. Inhale, gazing up. Exhale, drop the other ear down. Good. And pausing in the middle, gently sitting up. Putting the foam roller to the side, coming onto hands and knees. Bringing the knees as wide as the mat, toes touching behind you. So you're forming kind of like a diamond shape. And then exhale, push the hips back. Lower the forehead, lower the elbows. Option to bend the elbows, bring the hands to meet in prayer over the head. And see if you can enjoy a gentle stretch on the backs of the arms. Option to lower the fingers to the tops of the shoulders. Maybe you give them a little squeeze. Invite the tension to leave. We'll just be here for a minute